I'm here today with Syd Straw, who's had just a fantastic and interesting career. How is Vermont today, Syd?
So heartbreakingly beautiful, bare trees, skinny limbs, confused weather patterns. In a weather-driven economy, Vermont is kind of a weather-driven. It's a funny winter we're having. So people are nervous, but I'm enjoying the temperate climes. I'm just grateful.
And you moved to Vermont about 10 years ago, is that right, or a little longer?
Well, I moved here, I guess, when I was about 6 months old.
Okay.
And I've been bouncing back ever since.
There we go. So, Syd, what was you kind of had an interesting upbringing. Your dad was in some movies and did some different things. And so tell me, what was your first introduction to music?
Oh, let's see. Probably seeing my father entertain at our inn in Vermont.
Okay.
In this little town, Weston. And I think that was the first, up close. He was a great entertainer, and I saw that at a very young age. And I was in the act at a very young age.
What kind of music did he like?
Well, great songs. As it turns out, I always thought that my dad wrote them, but it turns out that Burt Bacharach and Hal David wrote some of them.
Right.
Funny.
Right.
Yeah, my dad used to do this "Guys in Love with You," and I was like, that's my dad's song. When I saw Burt Bacharach do it on the show, and I was like, God, I can't believe he's doing my dad's song. This is great.
That's funny. What are your, you've kind of chronicled kind of a difficult relationship between your mom and your dad on some of those things. What are some of the things?
Now they're gone and they can't stand up for themselves.
And so, what are some of your memories of your mom and your dad? And
the best memories are that they both had incredibly beautiful voices.
Okay.
They both were wonderful singers. That's the best memory. They both were, fantastic. My mother was described more than once as a spine tingler, and my dad had just a very legitimate, beautiful voice, and also was just a really good actor.
Yeah.
So, I did a lot of shows when I was a kid, and when I was in high school, I would come from California to Vermont and do summer stock at the Weston Playhouse with my dad, and we would do a lot of the great musicals. So that was a pretty incredible early great experience to do sort of Guys and Dolls and some of the great with my dad.
And so what was the first thing that really knocked you out musically? Kind of what was the first record or the first band or whatever?
That is tough because it was probably something my parents were playing.
Uh-huh.
Probably
yeah,
Frank
absolutely.
Sinatra.
Well, Frank Sinatra would be a good first one, that's for sure.
That was probably the first voice that really knocked me out. I was like, that's a human voice that can do so much.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that mother was listening around the house, the many houses.
The many houses. So you kind of bounced from coast to coast. Is that how it worked for you? East Coast, West Coast?
Sure. That sounds good.
And so you eventually kind of wound up in California. Is that,
Luckily, it's amazing. Of course the path's not taken. That's something to think about, but not that hard because the paths that you actually got on and took are probably pretty interesting interesting enough,
Oh, absolutely.
But you think about the friends you met because you moved somewhere, and you wouldn't have met them unless you moved somewhere. And
right.
I am, in my house in Vermont, looking at a picture of my oldest pal. And the picture that just surfaced. I just got back to my house. I've been off working and doing things, but this picture of my oldest pal surfaced, and he's a teenager in this picture, and you should see his hair is so beautiful. It's my pal Taylor Negron, who died a year ago.
Yes.
So I don't know why that's coming up, but Lou Whitney. It was just a year of tremendous departures. Before even David Bowie, and it's just really something. It's good to get back to my full house.
Well, I think that, because I know you wrote a lot about your friendship with Taylor Negron, who was kind of one of those faces. You might not know the name, but you definitely know the face, and you've definitely seen him in a lot of different things. And
he had the best word for it. He wrote about it, and he called it. He goes, "I'm not famous, I'm famish."
Famish.
So, and I think that kind of describes things really well.
And so tell me about Taylor. I know he was really important to you. Tell me about him.
Wow. Well, he was early on, and obviously from the get-go, the most talented person I would ever know.
Wow.
And I met him on a National Honor Society field trip to visit some beautiful tide pools, and in Southern California. So we were friends at gawky, awkward early ages, and so that's tough. That's in all of this loss, it's really tough to lose your oldest pal.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
And he was a lot of people's best pal. So there's a lot of people missing him. A lot of good grace around it.
And so I guess you would, being in kind of the different endeavors that you were in here, there, and everywhere, was he kind of the one that you always kept up with, always wrote letters to, maintain that friendship throughout?
We had a really beautiful, tough friendship. Sometimes we were really madder than hell at each other. We'd be out of touch for a while. Sort of like a real brother or something.
Right.
Anyhow, I hoping to see his mother in Palm Springs in the near future.
Oh, very, very nice. So when you started singing with Pat Benatar, was that kind of the moment that things started to come together in your career, or tell me what was going on around that time?
But it was really fun. It was super fun. It was really just 2 weeks of work at this club in New York. And it was sort of while she became famous.
Uh-huh.
The club was Tramps, and everyone came to hear her sing. And she was amazing and is amazing. And the funny thing is, I haven't seen her in many, many years, but I am in touch with the household, the family, because her lovely husband, Neil, and I are writing back and forth and trying to write a song and such.
Oh, wow. Well, Neil just keeps coming up in every conversation. He's obviously
possible.
What's that?
He's the nicest person possible.
Well, that's what I've heard, and he's good friends with Scott Kempner and so many different people.
See them, and I'm heading out to California, so I'm hoping to see them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of song are you working on? One song or many songs with him, or what? What are you doing there?
You know what? It's just a kind of experiment that I don't think it behooves me to say much more than that.
Okay.
But also, You know what's great is the mail, the cyber mail. People don't have time to talk on the phone, you know. Like, even when your super great friends call, sometimes you're busy walking up a dirt road for the first time in a month and a half, and you just don't want to talk on the phone. Sure. Even though it's like sweetest friend calling, you're like, I just want to walk up this dirt road right now. Nobody really has time to talk on the phone anymore. So it's good, these cyber notes, and I think you can get a lot done this way.
Sure.
When people find the time, it's good. I don't know. I'll try anything twice.
So after doing the Pat Benatar stint, you started working some with the Golden Palminos, and tell me about that.
That was super, crazy way to, my first tour, I remember getting on the tour bus, and our bass player was Jack Bruce.
Right.
Michael Stipe was on the bus, and one of my favorite singers and poets, and Bernie Worrell from Parliament Funkadelic and Pretenders. Bernie Worrell, genius. Peter Blake, genius. Jody Harris, genius. Amazing, you know. I think Chris Stamey was there. Lovely, genius. So, I don't know. That was my first tour. And I just thought, well, I did know. I didn't know how lucky I was, but I damn well knew that I was lucky.
And so what lessons did you learn about what you needed to do, what you needed to be better at, what you found out you might be better at than you thought? I mean, tell me about it.
Well, I learned how to front a damn band. So that was a good experience. And I learned how to play with powerful people, which I continue to love to do. Right.
You don't mind surrounding yourself with the very best. I think that's been
I prefer it.
Your career.
I prefer it if they'll have me.
And of course, the Golden Palminos are so interesting because they started off in the most experimental type of lineup that you could have with John Zorn and those kind of things. But then, they've just kind of been whoever's around at the time and some really great and wonderful stuff. So is there anything about your working with them that that stands out to you?
You know what's interesting, I think, is that I looked just the other day for some reason, and I realized there's almost no Golden Palminos video, YouTube, anything regarding me with them. There's a few things from a get-together we had like 4 or 5 years ago, and then there's some stuff from like the late 80s or something, but that's it. And I think it's so interesting. I don't know why that is.
Well, after that kind of after your stint working there, you created a solo album that had a lot of impact on a lot of people called Surprise, and that includes me. I just when that came out, I think I listened to Future 40s about every 20 minutes. I mean, that was just a great song and a great record.
That's so fun. Did you ever see the video?
Oh, yeah, the Athens and L.A. video. That's pretty great. And so
that was my kitchen. That was my kitchen on Flores Street.
Well, your connection to Athens was Michael Stipe, right? I mean, you didn't live in Athens, did you?
I did live in Athens. I married a man who lived in Athens and lived in Athens for a while. Oddly enough, after I worked with Michael and all of that, it's just kind of, wow, it's so interesting, but that's where Dennis lived. So that's where I did live for a while. Yep. Well, I love Athens.
Oh, I do too. Athens is one of my favorite cities anywhere. I think it's great. Or towns, whatever you want to call it. But tell me about, because again, you had this kind of amazing group of people playing on that record, Richard Thompson, and, you know, who's just one of my heroes and so many other things. I mean, how did that come about?
Let's see. Well, you know, Richard played on Golden Palminos record too.
Right.
So that's how I initially had a contact with Richard. But as I recall, Anton wouldn't let me anywhere near the studio when Richard was recording.
Why not?
I don't know, but I made sure to get his contact information on my own, you know. So he's really one of my very favorite musicians anywhere. So any chance that I have to do anything with him is, you know, a great chance I would jump at. So
right.
My alliance with him goes way back. So, wait, what was the question?
Well, you know, kind of you answered it, but I'll ask you a little follow-up too. When there was a tribute album to Richard, you did for Shame of Doing Wrong, and and how did you choose that song? And because I tell you, you definitely handled that about as well as anybody can hope to handle something following Linda Thompson singing. I mean, I really like your version.
Nobody can follow Linda Thompson, period. You know, it's like she's you know what I mean? It's like trying to follow Aretha or something.
Well,
forget it.
That's what I liked about your version is you didn't really follow Linda. You took it and gave it your own spin, and that's what I found interesting about it.
You know what I remember about that recording is we did it in the key that was most favorable for Evan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember thinking, well, he sounds really good here. I'll make it work. But it wasn't ideal for me. But I think it's okay. You know, you know what's funny is there was that recording that was years ago, and then I only ever saw Evan once, and it was at one of my favorite sushi joints downtown.
There you go. He's kind of he was sure hot for a while, and when you're doing that song, I actually think that the range, you know, suits you pretty well. So that may be one of those lucky accidents where there's another reason.
I'll have to give that another spin, Dale.
Yeah, you definitely should.
I should remind myself here and there what I've done because I don't sit around listening to it, but some here and there I realize it's quite a little body of work.
There's a lot to it. It's really an interesting thing, and of course, then for your next record, War and Peace, you went to a town close to my heart, Springfield, Missouri, and made a record. And how did that come about?
Well, you know, I've been in love with various formations of the Skeletons, Morels, and anything Lou Whitney, you know, for so many years. And I first went to Springfield with my old pal Roscoe Eric Amble, and we made a really, really fun record, Roscoe's Gang, with the Skeletons.
Right.
At Lou Whitney's studio, the studio in Springfield, the town we all love. And so I'm always so happy about that. That was a great, you know, introduction to them and to that town and to playing great music in that town and that studio. And then I made another record there in 1996. It's so long ago. I'm wishing somebody would put it out. It's 20 years. It's right.
Oh, yeah.
For the,
oh, yeah.
You know, anyway, that's what I'm kind of looking into when I go to California this week.
Oh wow!
So, I had the best time ever recording with the Skeletons. They can play and do play anything. We know this,
right? And you know that record has a lot of the songs that you're well associated with, Love and the Lack of It, and some of those other things. But then you also did a great version of Harper Valley PTA when you that was when you were down there for that too, right?
Yeah, and I get the name check. I changed the name in the song into the Skeletons' names, which is my little secret victory. It worked out pretty well, I think.
Yeah, that's a great version that if people haven't heard, they should definitely check that out. But
so fun. Maybe you'll play it for the people.
Well, and if you had to pick some songs off of those records, the first couple of records, and Pink Velour, what are some of your highlights of your records?
My own highlights?
Yeah, your favorites. I mean, things that you...
The one I'm working on now.
Right, but
it's my favorite one.
Oh, well, I mean, it should be your favorite one, the one you're working on. But are there tracks that stand out on those other records that...
No, they're all terrible. I hate them. No, I will say that I think here and there I've tried to make little movies, and a song like Actress or Pink Velour on the record Pink Velour.
Right.
Those songs are kind of like little movies that I send out there that I'm hoping to make. And those are good to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, Pink Velour is a great song. I mean, it's got a lot of really atmosphere. I mean, it's got a great atmosphere, but then it's also got some really striking lyrics as well. And obviously that's very it's kind of an autobiographical song for you in some ways. I mean, is that how you describe it?
I would say that's pretty good one-word description, or two. Pretty autobiographical, two-word description. There
you go. And so the next record that you're making, tell me what's going to be on there. What are we expecting?
Well, I'm going through a jazz phase.
Okay.
I'm feeling like I want to sing some of the standards in double standards even, and that's part of it. But also I realized, it's funny, at about 5 this morning, I'm always awake at 5 a.m. I don't know why. But this morning I was making a list of the songs that I am recording for this record, and I really like them. I thought, well, I wonder if these first 5, maybe I'm just going to put out an EP. And that would be these first 5 songs, because they seem to just want to be together, and they tell their own little story.
Right.
And so maybe that's what I'm going to do first thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Any ideas of who's going to play on it or what's going to happen?
Yes, Don Piper. I do everything. He's like my right-hand thumb. I don't go hitchhiking without him.
Right.
And he's great. And then, Mark Rebo, he's on there.
Wow.
And it's kind of sparse.
Okay.
In the production heft, but not value.
You've kind of had this career that has lent itself to a lot of different genres of music. I mean, you've done songs with Wilco and the Skeletons and things like that, and then but you can also count Mark Rebo as a friend and some more experimental stuff, and hearing some jazz stuff sounds pretty neat. I'm excited to hear what that'll be like.
I just recorded in New York a few days ago, Dale, with a beautiful trumpet and piano and voice. And that was a lovely trio. Boy, we were making a good racket. I'll have to see about that. Yeah, you might like this. I wish I could play it for you. I don't know. I don't, maybe I can figure out how. I don't know. I recorded it on my voice recorder app on my broken cell phone here that we're talking on. So that's very modern. I was thinking, I wish when I toured with the Skeletons and everything, I wish that, it was just before, it was just the advent of cell phones and technology and things. And you know what I remember it as? When I toured with the Skeletons, I had my first cell phone, Dale, and I didn't understand about roaming charges. So we went on the road, and I just used my phone. I drove, and I was doing interviews on the phone from all kinds of states while driving and passing the phone around so everyone could call home and check in and do things and keep their thing going. And then I got home from that 3-week tour on the road, and I remember that the bill was like $5,000. Oh,
wow!
Lord. Yeah, that hurt. That'll learn you. That'll learn you.
That'll sure learn you. That's for sure.
That'll learn. Oh,
so,
boy.
So for the people who know or the ones who don't know Lou Whitney, tell me a little bit about your thoughts on Lou.
Only the funniest person who ever manned an analog board. I mean, he was just the funniest person you could ever want to spend time with. And, when you were recording with Lou, that you were it sounded the way it should, or as close as we could get to it sounding the way it should. And it really was so darn funny and of course, I'm sorry, I'm the product of a funny father, so I really appreciate a funny bass player, and Lou Whitney certainly was a funny bass player. So, and that band, I don't know. I hope maybe they'd want to do some playing with me. I want to come play with them.
Well, I'll definitely let them know that, because I think they enjoyed that as much as you did. I think that was a good match.
It's our 20-year anniversary, and we could do the Where the Fuck is Lou Whitney tour.
There you go.
It's hard, It's really, really hard to be in this world without certain people, and Lou is one of those beloved people. And I was on tour, actually, 2 summers ago, and I was playing the nicest place in St. Louis, Broadway.
Off Broadway, yes.
Off Broadway. And I was playing there with my friend Don Piper, and we were doing a little tour, and of our whole tour, they gave us the best guarantee, and I think about 20 people came out to the show, 20 awesome, really attentive people. I bought everyone drinks.
There you go.
And we had a really great time, but I felt bad because it just fell on a difficult night, and I haven't played in St. Louis in so long. The worst happened, which was that I feared really almost no one would come, but the people that did come were so awesome. We had a great time, but I do want to go back to Off-Broadway and just do a benefit for them or something. Anyway, anyway, the long-windedness of it being that Louis Bernard Whitney was also in St. Louis that night, and he was at the hospital. We had plans to meet the next morning, and I think he had surgery instead the next morning.
Oh.
And so he couldn't see anyone then. We were in the same town. We were talking on the phone, and that's the last time I did get to speak to Lou. And I was just excited to be in St. Louis, a town where I did play with them at Mississippi Nights. Before that club went down, and and played there with Golden Palminos and things like that, and the Bottle Rockets and stuff like that.
I mean, you just had such an interesting run with so many different people, so many great collaborations, and then, you know, in the middle of all of it, to wind up on Adventures of Pete and Pete and some of the other places you've acted. I mean, you've definitely, you know, you've kind of worked both sides of the street for sure. And
that's super fun. That show has real legs. I wish. Where's the movie already? Like, if they can make 82, you know, Sex and the City films.
Right.
Why not one Adventures of Pete and Pete and Pete and Pete? I figured like it would be about like the Pete and Petes are grown up and they have kids and they name them Pete and Pete and everyone's Pete and Pete and Pete and Pete.
Yeah, you've practically written the thing.
I know, and I need a job, and that would be so fun to bring back Miss Fingerwood. It really would. Here and there, because of DVD technology, and they put it out so it has a kind of whole new set of wings. And so once in a while, I'll be somewhere like getting a donut somewhere, and some kid will look up at me kind of bewildered and go, "Are you Miss Fingerwood?" What can I say? I am Miss Fingerwood, yes. And thank you for asking, child of mine.
Fantastic. I mean, that's
fun. That show is so wonderful. It's got a lot of good grace around it. I love everybody involved.
How did you get involved? How did you get that job?
I got the job by being the most Syd Straw type person they could find to play the math teacher.
There you go. Well, you'll win that every time.
I got the job exactly that way. They're like, we're not going to find anyone much more Syd Straw-like than you.
That's true. Well, are there
a shot?
Other than your jazz excursion that you're into right now, is there anything else that we're going to be seeing out of you anytime soon?
Yes. Real sparse, Velvet Underground-ish, banal rock also.
Oh, well, there you go. Very, very cool. Anytime
I feel like really, really banal. And I think the simpler, the better. People are busy.
Right.
Come in from the cold, shake it off, get it on, then get the hell out of there, go back out into the night. But don't forget to come out and have a good time. It's really important. And that's what I feel like we're providing. We've been playing a lot at this little joint in New York City in the East Village on Avenue A called Hi-Fi Bar. It used to be called Brownies, and everybody used to play there.
Oh, yeah.
Same owner, Mike Studo, and now he calls it Hi-Fi. And we've just been playing there pretty much, well, irregularly, frankly, but having a great time rocking out on Avenue A and just encouraging people to come out on a Monday or a Wednesday night and just have a good time.
Wow.
Unexpected play on Avenue A.
Yeah. Well, that sounds fun. That sounds great. Well, Syd, I'm glad you had time to sit down with me and talk about so many of the different things you've done, and I can't wait for people to get to hear that, and I sure thank you for your time.
All I can say is turn it up.
Turn it up. Let's do it. Very glad to have some time with Syd Straw today. This has been the Dale Wiley Show. Go online, go to dalewiley.show.net, buy some books, throw some money. Copyright 2016.